everyone. Well, have you had a great day at Conscious Life Expo? Yeah, and there's more tomorrow. Wow. My name is Shima Moore, and I'm the program director, and I want to really thank you all for coming out and supporting us in supporting you, because that's what Conscious Life Expo is about. And I'm just seeing Kathryn walk out the door a little. So be sure tomorrow, come back and bring some friends and family, and let's create together the fabulous planet that we have. Oh, thank you, darling. So our next presenter is a very special human being, and I'm so excited for her because her brand new book, which has been out for 5 weeks, is already in its second printing. All right. So, gotta put my glasses on for this one. Kathryn Alice is author of the book Love Will Find You. Her heartwarming wisdom on love and powerful processes have helped thousands of people find love. Her work has been featured in Psychology Today, the New York Times, Cosmopolitan, and on Montel. So if you ever wanted to find your soulmate, this is the woman who can direct you in that direction. So put your hands together and help me give a warm, Conscious Life welcome to Ms. Kathryn Alice.
Thank you. Thanks, Shima. No, you can take that. So hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Kathryn. And how many of you are single? I would assume most of you, though. I've been traveling around the country, and it amazes me how many married people come to my workshops. And I do believe that even once you have your soulmate, you can go a step further and live in a world that's filled with love everywhere you look. And I suspect maybe that's why that people who are already married come, is just so they can keep taking it to the next level. And I've always you can live in a world where love is everywhere you look. And little did I know how true that was until I started teaching it. And when I met my husband and we got married, I really felt like I didn't even know what love was compared to what came next. Because he's one of the most loving people I know, as is his family. And so we got all kinds of bonuses, including our kids, that were beyond what I had ever expected in my own life. And so my motto, I'm Southern, and my motto is that there's a lid for every pot. And I'm from the South, and so I have lots of Southernisms in my work. And that was the original title for my book, but my agent had me change it because she felt like it was a little too old-fashioned. So it's called Love Will Find You, which also has a story behind that. And the other thing that I do believe about love is if you're not the going out kind, then they will have a wreck in your yard. And ever since I've been saying that, it's amazing how many people bring stories to me of how they magnetize to them and met their soulmate while staying at home, literally, believe it or not. And so there's the lady who met someone who was repairing a pole out her balcony. There was the lady who a guy came to get a hem from her, and they fell in love, and they've been married for many years, and now she's a very successful clothing designer. And there are the people who are neighbors, and that happens quite often, who met and are now married with children. And so I think that even no matter who you are and what your reality is, not only do you get love, but you get it in a way that's not awkward for you. And so one of the questions I often get from people is, well, do I need to go on eHarmony to meet somebody? And I say, no, you don't. And like all their friends will be telling them that. And if that's true, then you can release thinking you have to do anything that's against the way you are as a being, because it puts you in a bad energy anyway. If you don't like bars, first off, the people you meet there probably will like bars. And so why do that? And second, you're not in the right energy. If you don't like a bar and you're in the bar, you're not feeling that great because you're out of your element. So it's doubtful that energy is going to be the right one to attract someone to you. So the more that you just do what feels good to you and you feel happy, and the more that you just relax about the whole thing, the faster love comes to you. Who can tell me what desperation does? Desperation leads to desperation, and what else? Yes? It's a repellent, exactly. Desperation and fear tend to repel, and the opposite of that, really knowing that you get love and that your soulmate is on the way, that has an attractant quality. And so the best thing you can do for your love life is just be sure that you get love. It may be hard to do because maybe it's never been so good for you, and it never will be as good as when you have your one. But until that time, you can work with your faith and do spiritual things and other things, anything that makes you feel good. One of my things that I do to keep myself in a good space and did for many years is watch America's Funniest Home Videos. And it just makes me cackle, and my husband always knows when I'm watching it because he can hear me in the next room. But the best thing you can do is what feels good to you. And when I work with people, I tend to ask them to find a toolbox of things that will help them feel good. Where do you like to go? Who talks to you? Not your grandmother who says, well, honey, you're not getting any younger, so when exactly are you going to, you better get a while you can. No, this is not who we call when we need to feel better. We call our friend who thinks that any person who marries us is the luckiest person in the world. That's who we call. We pray, we can meditate, we could read uplifting reading. Certainly I would suggest my book, or anything. There's a whole, on my website, there's 3 pages of recommendations of things that will make you feel good. So whatever you can do to feel good, this is the energy that we want. Now tonight, my book is Love Will Find You. Subtitle for it is 9 Magnets to Bring You and Your Soulmate Together. So we're going to talk about the law of attraction, about magnetizing love to you tonight. And I'm going to give you 3 of the magnets. We don't have time for all 9, so we're going to do 3 tonight. And first, what I'd like to do is we're going to do a little interactive work together. We're not just going to sit here looking at me like TV all night. But what we're going to do is some interacting. And I just want to give you a few rules for that so we can all feel emotional. Safe. Number 1 is just that we're confidential so that anything that you hear here can stay here. Many of us know each other or in similar communities. The second one is just that let's be highly supportive of each other and really cheer each other on tonight. Even if you think that person their standards are way too high, and I don't believe in settling, by the way, then support them anyway. Put your doubts aside and support them. And then number 3 rule for our time together is just to not give each other advice. Because I could say, well, Mona, such and such. A higher way to do it would be, well, Mona, I found that this helps me. So just share from your own experience. Okay, any questions so far? And we will have times for questions. We're going to have one break. My book is actually here. We still have first editions. It's going into second edition happily, but we still have first edition. So if you wanted to get it tonight, I'd love to sign it and bless it for you too. But anyway, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to start with a little exercise. So if everybody can put everything down and stand up. I want you to find some neighbors near you, like 3 or 4, but make a little group of no more than 4. Hug each other or namaste if you don't like to hug, and say hello. And just sit down. Sit in a little circle if you can. Okay, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next. So once you get with 3 or no 4 people, uh-oh. Sit down together. Sit down together and make a little group. No more than 4 in a group, though. Okay. Not right this second, though. So everybody, no more than 4 in a group, okay? Or this won't work. So sit down together once you've introduced yourself in hugs. And if you have too big of split off into 2 groups of 3 or something like that. Okay? Okay, so everybody's in a group of 3, no more than 4. Sit down with each other. Do you remember everybody's names? And try to sit in a circle if you can. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is the hardest thing about my love life. What is the hardest thing about my love life? So why don't you pick somebody who's going to go first. We're all going to get the same opportunity to share. Pick somebody who's going to go first, and we'll go clockwise from that person. And we only have a minute and a half, so you're not sharing the entire history of your love life. You're just going to laser it. And when I ring a little bell, then we'll go to the next person going clockwise. Okay, so decide who's going to go first. and share what is the hardest thing about my love life. So go ahead and begin. Okay, well, we need to hurry it up. A few more moments, so share quickly, please. Yeah, maybe we put him over there. I just don't want anything on my, my little altar kind of thing. Sorry. To the big group. So group hug or group shaking hands if you don't like to hug. And we're going to come back to the big group. Okay. So I would love to hear from a few of you if you had a trend in your group, if you had like commonality in your group, or if you have something that you would like to share, what is the hardest thing about my love life, or if any questions came up. So who would like to share like a pattern that you found in your group, what's hard for you in your love life, or any questions? So, yes, say your name.
My name is Santa Maria.
Santa Maria.
And I did point out something which I had not even thought of. I said, well, I'm trying to be the kind of person that I would like a soulmate to be. And to find a soulmate, find out that I'm missing parts of me. So I'm trying to put myself together. And so I'm focusing on that. And they said, well, maybe you're so busy focusing on that that you don't open yourself to an opportunity when you find them.
Okay, that's a good point.
I never even thought of that. So I thought that was pretty
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Did everybody hear that?
No.
What she said is that she mentioned that she had been trying to be a soulmate to herself and become a soulmate, but her group pointed out that it's possible to so focused on that she wasn't actually open to love, because one thing love is, your soulmate is outside of yourself in a way. Yes, we're our soulmates on a certain level, but if we're single, we are, most of us, looking for our love, and so we have to have some energy, outward in some way. And I find that it's more powerful just to do it on the inner. And we're going to do that tonight, is send some energy from the inner outward, as it is trying to get out there in a big way. I'm one of the few dating coaches, or like the only one, who says that you don't have to get out there if that's not your style. It's more important how your energy is, and you literally can magnetize love to you. So that was a great point, and that's a new one. I thought I'd heard it all because I've been teaching workshops for so many years, but that was an excellent point. You had a great group. Thank you. Who else? Questions or sharing on why? Hi, stand up and say your name. Katie.
I'm embarrassed to you, but I didn't want to be here. So
She didn't want to be here.
no, so I literally flipped a coin between this workshop and the other one, and tails was it, and that's why I'm here. And then I realized that I think all that resistance to not wanting to be in a relationship is exactly the reason I need to come to this workshop, because I'm not looking for a relationship at all. And I've, as the Southern said, been working on myself a lot for the last several years. Part of that's so been as a result of an unhappy relationship. So
Okay.
there's a correlation for sure.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. Well, I know for you that it's no accident that the coin went the way it went. She flipped a coin on whether to be here or not, and I think you're being directed by the universe. So thank you.
Group, and I think it was kind of a theme. I really am okay being single, and I think that has a lot. I mean, it's hard. I'm okay finally for the first time in my life to be home on a Friday night with a good book and not feeling like I need to be on a date.
Good for you.
And it's like, you know what? On Wednesday night I won't have a date, but I'm going to write down all the things that I like about me and about my life, and the way my life is now is because it is. But I want it that way.
Right.
So I keep like a list of it in my bathroom, like when I get ready in the morning, of what I want in a relationship and what I don't want. So those nights that I am lonely, I look and I think, thank God I'm not settling. Like some of my girlfriends
Yeah,
have to
thank
be with
you.
someone just to be with them. So
Well, you sound like you're doing well. What is your name?
I'm Stacy.
Stacey. Sounds like you're doing very well, and the same with Katie. And before we go on, for 1 second, I just want to say that part of my book talks about that many people find that the minute that they're happy alone, right after that is when they actually meet somebody. and I talk about that because it's good. Now single people are actually in a majority in our country. A study recently showed, and I think it's important to know you're not in the minority, you're not left out, and it's good to be happy alone. And that way, then you know that you can be happy with somebody else, and you're not going to try to make them your world. So it is kind of an important step, and everybody, I think, needs to be single at some point in their lives. Some of us later than others, you know, and some people very early, just to know that we can be okay single and take care of ourselves and source ourselves in a way. So thank you. And tell me your name again. Elizabeth, sorry. Friends with benefits. I don't believe in friends with benefits particularly. I think some people, if you haven't dated in 12 years and, you know, you haven't been with anybody, you might be shut down here, you know, second chakra. And I always make people go, and do crazy things just to kind of open up. And so it's possible you get what I call an opener. And I talk about that in my book. And just to kind of get you going again. You know, it's okay to have a fling. But I think for a lot of people that I've seen, there's a tendency to get attached. Though it's clearly not the right person, and that will truly block your soulmate from you. So it depends. I don't make any general rules, because the minute you make a rule, you'll meet 100 people who broke the rule and still found love. But for many people, that's a danger, and you have to kind of gauge within yourself if you're the kind who can do okay with that. And some people can, and some people can't. So, but thank you. We'll go here and then here. What is your name? Anita. Hi.
I would like a little bit of expansion on that friends with benefits. I moved here recently.
Are you from the South?
No, I'm from the Midwest, but I actually have been open-minded, and the friends with benefits option takes the curve off of the absence of intimacy.
Okay.
As long as, like, it was someone I met on Match.com, we agreed that we were not long-term partners. It takes the,
And you didn't get attached,
it
right?
takes the we had agreement that no emotional attachment, and he just called today and says, are you with anybody now? No, but I'm meeting someone on Valentine's night, so I'll call you back. As long as it's an agreed upon thing up front, are you saying that would block the way from?
It couldn't. I said it depends on the individual. And if you're not the type who gets attached, and you can do that very cleanly, it's another thing. Many people think they can, but in truth, they can't. They emotionally they get attached, and it becomes this heartache when they kind of knew it was agreed upon. So even if you agree, you have to be careful with the other person and make sure clean about it. So I don't take anything about it, because we all do need intimacy, and it's okay, and I will never judge. And when I first went to Agape, which is where I'm from, this practitioner told me this thing that blew my mind as a good Southern girl. And what she told me is, well, you know, even a one-night stand can be sacred. And it took me a long time to be like, oh, okay, because I was just, I don't know, I had a judgment, you know, and I've come a long way, because now I see that very clearly. And so I don't really judge anything, but I do think we have to gauge how we are and what's going to be right for us, and also what the universe sends us. Just like Katie showing up without realizing she was even going to be here. So I'll get to you in just a minute, but I had somebody on hold here. Hi, what is your name?
Max.
Max.
I fell deeply in love with somebody 4 months ago, and I usually don't fall in love very easily. I date a lot of women. And it was a surprise. I met this woman, and the first day I dropped into my feelings and started crying when I met her.
Right.
And we explored the relationship. Now what happened for me is that the intensity of my feelings made it impossible for me to actually build a relationship with this person. I had so much anxiety, grief, and stuff come out of my unconscious as a result of meeting this woman that she freaked out. She couldn't even understand what was going on.
Right.
And I wasn't able to manage myself and to be myself around her.
Right.
For the last 3 to 4 months, I've the hurt and the pain of pushing her away or her pulling away, and the relationship not really working out. So I guess this was one of those situations that was purely developmental for my soul, I guess.
It probably was, and what it would lead to me is to learn how to let go. And one thing that can make that better for you, and this is actually the first magnet in my book, is to have faith that you get love. And I believe that Spirit will not meet you halfway. It will you 3/4 of the way, it'll meet you all the way. And it sounds like the anxiety was like, this is going to get taken away from me.
Yeah, I felt her not meeting me emotionally.
Right.
She didn't get a chance to want me and to miss
Right,
me
right.
because it was so strong for me. And I understood that, but I couldn't change it once that dynamic was.
Well, I think you could have, and hopefully you'll get better at working with yourself just to feel more confident that what's yours will not be taken away. Because I think what you said is absolutely true. When you get that anxious about something, like I said, it pushes people away.
I still think that she might be the one, even though she has asked me to leave her alone. I'm still.
Well, the problem with that is, and the reason they're laughing is because it sounds like a lie. I think a lot of people might have that tendency, and not because you're a beautiful being. You seem to be quite attached to me, but the problem is just that energy really scares people. It pushes them away. And so,
I understand that.
right. So can you just listen for 1 second? I find that if you can let go, and you can't fake it and say, well, if I let go, then they'll come to me, because that's like hedging your bets. That's not really letting go. But the letting go is the thing that will allow it to be if it's meant to be. If desperation, and clinginess is a repellent, the opposite, the magnetization, is letting go. And so you might need to do some release work. And I do that frequently. We'll do a mini version of that in a little. But it's very important to, even though you don't want to with all of your heart, the thing that will absolutely kill it, as you're seeing, is this kind of anxiety and hanging on. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. And we can talk more after if you want. I'll be around afterwards if you guys want to. So we're going to go to him because he had his hand up, and then we'll go to you guys. Hi, and you're Mark.
I'm Mark. I can certainly relate that I'm sort of in LA because of a similar type of thing. I have to agree with you that make no judgment anywhere.
Yeah.
If you make a judgment, nowhere does judgment fit into love. The other thing that I like to, and the reason I want to bring up the judgment part is, at least for what I've learned, at least I'm at the age that one time, going to bed on the third date was like you nap it almost. You get older and you realize that there's something you lose. There's a lack of spirit in that. So now it's like my dating, if I do date, is completely different. I mean, I don't even think about going to bed with anybody I wouldn't marry. Mm-hmm. But that's different. And I think that has tuned me into looking for what I really should be looking for, instead of the habits that you date to your habit.
Right. Well, I have a chapter in my book actually about dating when you get a little older. And I think that when you get older, you're smarter, because somehow you know more and you won't settle. And you already know, okay, I'm not going to go there because that doesn't work for me. And you're smart enough to know that. And it sounds like you've gotten a certain wisdom.
I've gotten better.
Okay.
Not there yet, but
Yeah.
but the other thing is that any time that I hear about lists, there's two things I do. Is when I hear somebody bring up lists, is what I think is, first, is that something I should find in me, and then second, why am I looking for it in the other person?
Right. Well, I understand, and I actually, you're going to die over this, but I'm actually a believer in lists, because I work with many people who never ask themselves, well, if I could have anything, what would I want? What didn't work with me? Like they never did it. But I ask them to always remain open at the top, because you can get even better. And the universe thinks of things for you that you didn't even think of. And so I am a believer in lists in that way, as long as we don't get too married to them. So, but many people that I work with have failed to ask themselves, if I could have anything, what would I want? And go for the moon, I think. So anyway, thank you for sharing. So we're going to go over here to Cecile. Hi.
My issue was being able to commit, always having one foot in and one foot out, and not knowing whether I should put my 2 feet in or get out.
Right.
And with the pressure, the added pressure of the age and the biological clock, feeling like I want to be a mother, but I don't know who's going to be the father.
Right. Okay. Well, pressure doesn't work for love, unfortunately. And I'm here to tell you that I had a baby this year. or at the end of last year, and I'm 46, right? And I just met a lady who's older than me who took my releasing workshop a while ago, and it was so hard for her, and she was going through agony, but she finally did let go. And here she is here with her soulmate. They're married, and she had a baby the same age as my baby, and she's older than me. It was her first child. And so I no longer believe in biological clocks. I believe that, and that's a lot of pressure to bring into a relationship. These days, there's so many ways to have a baby, and I think when you put that kind of pressure, it's hard for love to emerge out of it. You know what I mean? And I also, the other thing I have to say about what you're saying is that I would advise to go full on in, knowing that I can let go if it doesn't work out, but people I find who are scared to commit, who don't go fully in, they get hurt worse, almost. I don't know why it is, but if you're trying to guard your heart, it doesn't work. We have to trust the universe will guard our heart. And definitely that's not an invitation to abandon discernment about who you get involved with. But at the same time, it doesn't work. And it definitely would be something that kind of delays love. I believe that nothing will keep your soulmate from you, but it can be delayed by things like trying to guard your heart, things like hanging on to the wrong person, different things like that. So. Thank you. I think okay, so it must have been you, another Kathryn. So I'm going to just do this. So since we're recording, I want to hear you.
Okay. This soulmate question. Right. So sometimes you're at the point you meet somebody, you fall in love, and you think this is your soulmate, and it is. There are other times you meet someone, you fall in love, you think it's your soulmate, and it's as far from soulmates as they could be. And how do you know if this is your soulmate? How do you know you're not fooling yourself? Because I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Max, but I'm a little more faithful in my situation. Right. I think, how do you know?
Well, if it's not working out, then I would say 9 out of 10 times or even greater than that, it's not. If all of you are single now, you have not been with your soulmate, because one of the tests I find is that your soulmate is someone with whom it works out. And it flows and it goes, and it's usually unlike anything you've ever had in your life because it goes very well. Now, the reason a lot of us aren't yet with our soulmate might be we're hanging on to the wrong person because either we don't want to go through the pain of letting go, or we can't imagine that there could be better. But there's always better if it's not working out. And the best is yet to come. So if everybody could say that to me, the best is yet to come. I really believe that. And you can't believe it. The lady who I saw today who has a booth here, and I saw her when we both had babies the same age, and she had finally let go after just torture, and only to have this honky, wonderful man that she's with and she married and had. At the time, if you'd asked her, she would have said, no way. This is it. This is my one. This is it. And that's the voice of attachment. If you've ever been in love before and you were all caught up in somebody and there was this voice telling you, this is it. And then once you got done with them and you finally let go, and then you thought, well, what was I thinking? That's it. That was the voice of attachment. I talk about that in my book too. And so I would say that my rule of thumb that has never failed anybody yet, including myself, including many, many people I work with, is if it's not working out, if you're not sure, let go. And if it's meant to be, it will happen. And I release my husband every single day, like kind of energetically, because, and you also, if you're a parent, you know you have to release your kids and to trust the universe will take care of them, because you can't be there every moment or you would be stalking them. But I find that the only relationship worth having is one where you choose freely every moment, every day to be together. And so do they. Nobody wants somebody where they're not there with us. We want them to be there because they're obligated. No, we want it because they're madly in love with us. And that's the only reason why. And so yes, you may have met soulmates before, but it wasn't your twin soul, which is what I think is what we end up with. And it's a huge time right now of people coming together with their twin soul, because there's no other reason to be with anybody. There's no economic pressure. We all can make it on our own. There's no societal pressure in terms of, oh, I have to be married by the time I'm X number of years. There's no pressure. So the only good reason to be with someone is because they're your twin soul. And that's what I see happen all over the place. I have never seen more happy relationships. And so I invite you guys, even if you're going, oh my God, never, to let go if it's not working out, and you still kind of have somebody you're thinking you could never do better than. So you had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is it possible to have more than one soulmate?
Well, see, that's a deep question, and I always I don't have my watch on right now, but I always time how long before that comes up. And I believe that there may be several soulmates, and certainly women or men who come to my class where they lost a spouse who died and they thought that was their twin soul, they get more love. That's what I do know. There's always more love. It's never over. I have had people into their 80s and even 90s find love. And so there's no limit. There's no limit to love. But I think there's one, what I call twin soul. And if you've ever met somebody and it just felt like you've known each other forever, and you had this huge reaction and you just, all of a sudden you're living together in 6 weeks, or just very dramatic, that might have been a soulmate. Didn't end up together, and because all of you are here, I'm kind of assuming you're single, then that means that you haven't met what's a twin soul. A twin soul is a very deep issue. I could do a whole workshop just on that. There's a couple of good books that I recommend written on that subject. It's somebody whose soul was created when yours was created. And when I read this book, tears were running down my face and I was getting chills down my spine. And so it really struck me as true. And you were programmed to come together at the right time. And if you're hearing me say this, it's probably now. Because most people will try to come to my workshop 4 times, never make it, finally show up when it's time for their soulmate or their twin soul. And so it's a complicated topic, but that's it in a nutshell. If you're interested, I invite you to explore it. On the back of my book, the guy who wrote the book Twin Souls actually endorsed my book. The name of his book it's Twin Souls. I mean, it's pretty easy. But there's several of them by that name, and there's one that I recommend the most. It's the one that gave me chills. So anyway, good question, though, and thank you. We had somebody over here, and then you. Just you. So go ahead.
Sometimes I think I've had a soul. You know, they say people come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. I think I've had a soulmate for a reason, season, but not yet a lifetime.
Right. Okay. That's cool. I haven't heard that one before.
My other question is, would you speak to how to effectively try the efforts of meeting someone online, like a singles website like Match.com? Will you talk to that later?
I will, and there's in my book. I don't get too heavily in it because I don't go into methods, you know. Like I think the methods are beside the point, that you can just be living your life, and most love stories that come out of my work are so random you never could have planned them. You know what I mean? And, well, you will. And you all have to email me and let me know, because you may be in my next book, and I really do this work to get your love stories. Like my whole entire weekend has been made by the lady who came running up to me, who had a booth, and her baby and her husband. You know, my whole weekend. So anyway, as far as just a little bit on online dating, I don't believe you have to do it to find your love if that's too much for you. I believe that you need to be painfully honest, because if you put a 20-year-old picture there and then they meet you and you don't look like that, it starts out on the wrong energy, and there's a distrust right away that you're not honest. And the people who I have seen who actually find love on the internet are painfully honest. They say exactly what they want. They don't be they put a current picture, and bam. It's just like telling the universe, here I am, this is me, and I am good enough as I am. Because if you're judging yourself or trying to make yourself into something you're not, all you're saying is there's something wrong with me. Does that make sense? And so that's my advice. That's it. And screen very carefully, because it's easy. Like my husband and I got together through a group of friends. I knew him for 4 years before we hooked up, because we were both like with somebody, we weren't both available. So that was easy. Everybody was saying he's the best guy in the world. You know, I'm so happy for you. So I had that. If you're online, you don't get that screening process, and so it's best to just screen very carefully, I think, you know. So.
The only thing you know about a person online is they have a computer.
That's right. Good. Very good. You know, and I believe I'm not a distrustful person. I tend to trust that it is a safe universe, and the more I trust that, the more it turns out to be. Because if we're going to live in a world of love, you know, but there is discernment, so that you know, okay, this person does not have a good vibe, and I'm not going to let him into my life too closely, or find out about him if you've had bad judgment in the past. So that's it, you know. But there is more in my book, and definitely, I don't think, I've seen a lot of weddings out of online dating, so I don't count it out. I just think that it's not the only way, and that there can be easier ways depending on who you are. So there was somebody, Mona, you had a question?
What is the difference between your soulmate or what did you say? Your twin soul.
Well, I talked about it a little bit. First off, you usually end up together. It flows in a way that you've never had before. There's just this feeling of passion, like electric chemistry that you've never had before. If you argued with every love you ever had, you don't argue. Like, you just get along. It goes deeper, and ultimately, I think the purpose of twin souls is to lift the planet up with their love. And so those are some of the differences, and there are many more. But you can also read more about it on my website. I encourage you all to go there later just to get reinforcement for what I'm saying now, because you might leave the workshop feeling good, but the world tells us a different story. The world can be very negative, and in order to stay positive, we have to get good at doing things that'll keep us in a good place. And anytime anybody ever told you, well, you can't do this, I've had so many people who did, whatever your circumstance. And so I want you to start thinking a greater possibility for yourself. Any other questions before we move on? And what we're going to do, the first magnet, is everybody clear on that? The first magnet is believing that you get love without a shadow of a doubt, no questions asked, and start really having that confidence. The second magnet I've talked about, it's letting go. Letting go of any reason you've told yourself why you don't get love. I'm too old, I'm too overweight, I'm too messed up. Maybe if I work on myself for another 10 years, I'll be ready for love. I'm too emotionally wounded. Let go of anything that you've told yourself. I'm too firm. I've had people in the hospital supposed to die get married, and honestly, the love healed them. I had a lady bald as a cue ball from chemo. She was a single mom with a 5-year-old daughter who got her love in the hospital. It was a friend of her roommate, and they ended up getting married in the hospital. Now she's out. She's doing very well. They got married. He feels like the father that this 5-year-old girl never had. And so I don't see any limit. You could tell me why you don't get love. That's what I want you also to release as well.
Book and I love it. In fact, it's part of why I'm here.
Well, thank you.
I came all the
Thank
way
you.
from Florida, not just for this, but it really is a wonderful book.
Well, you found it in my book in Florida?
I forget how I came across it, but
it amazes me how it's out there,
But,
Yeah.
But
thank you.
But anyway,
And what is your name?
Tim. My question for you is, and certainly there's a lot of wonderful stories in your book of how people meet, fall in love, and get married.
Right.
And that's all wonderful. I'm always, the skeptic in me says, and how many of them stayed happily married as opposed to the,
Okay, well.
Because, and I'm not trying to bring this down, but there is that question.
Okay, so here's the other block that we have to release. It's called cynicism. It is and not Tim, I don't mean to rag on you, but and I don't blame you, because in our culture it is very cool to be cynical. It's so cool. If you look on television, look on MTV, cynicism is cool. Look in the movies. Cynicism is the way to go. If you're too positive, you're either flaky, you're corny, you're airy-fairy. And yet, how many of us really want to go through the life thinking, oh, I'm not going to expect too much because then I won't get disappointed? Because that's what happens. You aim low, you get low. And so I invite you to release your cynicism. And I used to think that same way. And when I did, what did I see? Because I was looking for it. I saw unhappy couples, nobody happy. And since I've changed, all I see are soulmates. All I see is people who hook up and never break up. They're still together. They're still happy many years. I just saw a couple when I was highly, big pregnant in Charleston, South Carolina, where she was sitting in his lap, and she was 85, and he was like 90, and they were acting like teenagers. And so I went up. I had to go and say something. And so I went up and I said, well, are you guys married? Did you just start dating? Because they did look like they just started dating. Honey, we've been married for over 50 years. So then comes their son, who's like 60, carrying the luggage. And I said, have they always been this way? And then he said, yes. And it was really embarrassing when I was a teenager, And so that's what I see. You see what you focus on. And so we all want love. We want to believe in soulmates. And the more that you focus on that, you will see it to back you up more than you will see the opposite of these horrible wreck of relationships. This is one way we create the world we're in. So I invite you to start having hope in your heart and to cynicism, another thing to release. So thank you for bringing that up, because any doubter in you, don't dwell there too long, because you can get yourself in a real funk. But instead, go towards the positive. Go look for love. Go ask a few people you see who are madly in love, how they met, how long they've been together, that kind of thing. Remember love stories that you've heard or that because there are many people who are happily married and will be together until they transition. So yeah. Any other questions? I want now just to put everything down under your seat, uncross your legs and arms, and close your eyes. And I'm going to take you through a short little meditation. This is magnet number 2 and 3, okay? Breathe in and out very deeply. And I want you to think of something or somebody that you love. Pets work well. Children work well. Grandmothers work well. Or something inanimate or a situation. Just don't think of anybody a love object, okay? And let that warm your heart, and let that love travel upward into your throat, neck, upward into your head, relaxing you, turning you warmer, relaxing your jaw, your eye sockets, your ears, even your brain and the top of your head. Let that same love travel outward into your arms, relaxing each muscle in turn, and travel downward into your sternum, into your vital organs, your back, your upper, your middle, and your lower back, relaxing each muscle around your spine and your spine. And let that love travel lower, relaxing your hip area, your groin, your bum, turning it reddish in color with this warm, warm love. Each muscle relaxing. And let it go downward still into your legs, your knees, your shins, and your calves. Relaxing each muscle. And downward still into your ankles and your feet, all the way out to your toes. As I count to 3, I want you to let yourself relax even more into this love. 1, 2, 3. From this space, I want you to bring into your heart your soulmate. It's probably someone that you don't know yet, your twin soul. And I want you to connect with them. If you tend to want to put somebody you know's face in there, I want you just to let that go. Just connect on a heart level and say a silent hello. I want you to imagine as the two of you connect in the outer world and get to know one another, and you have a growing feeling of admiration, of excitement about one another. You accidentally touch, and you can feel electricity pass between the two of you. You can tell this person anything. This person makes you more yourself, and you are doing the same for your soulmate. Imagine the first time that you kiss, how off the hook it is, how amazing. Imagine that you see this person across a crowded room, and as your eyes meet, you can feel the connection between the two of you. This person calls you on the phone, and at the sound of their voice, you shiver. Your whole heart warms up. Imagine that you're becoming more and more a part of each other's lives. Your families, you meet each other's families, and it goes well. You fit very well into each other's lives. You have long dinners together, and you can share anything. You could talk endlessly. And if there's anything that you feel that's coming up now that of it, maybe this person could possibly love me because of X. I want you to let that go. If you have some fatal flaw that you're scared may send them screaming for the room, understand that they will love you more for it. It is said that we are admired for our strengths, but loved for our weaknesses. So understand that even that thing that you fear is unlovable makes you lovable. And this person adores you, even those things you worried weren't lovable. So let go of that idea that anything could make you unlovable. Release cynicism that this person doesn't exist, and release anybody you're hanging on to so that you can have this full-on, wonderful love. I want you to imagine that you're standing on a beautiful mountain with this beautiful view in front of you. Imagine that you're extending your arms out to your sides fully. And I want you to say silently, "Come to me now, my soulmate. Come to me now, my twin soul." And imagine that you can feel that corresponding answer from this person who is living and breathing on the planet right now, looking for you. They're feeling your soul call. And now I want you to commit to that. Commit to staying open for your twin soul. doing whatever is necessary to remain open, having the faith that this is real. I claim that something real has happened here and now, that we cannot miss this person, and that we see the evidence of it in the coming days, weeks, and months. It is done. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. That's a soul call. The way I do it is it's a form of hypnosis. If you feel sleepy, don't worry. I had a guy in Atlanta who went to sleep when we did that in a longer workshop, and I lay everybody down on the floor for that. He went to sleep, and we couldn't wake him up when we were done with the exercise. And so we just let him sleep. And honestly, we were packing up, about to leave. He finally woke up, acted like nothing was wrong, and just left. I get an email from him 4 months later, and he met his soulmate, and now they're married. So I think that, even if you didn't experience it fully or weren't able to completely follow, there's a real power in a soul call. That's what I call it. There are many ways to do it. On the inner is most important, but on the outer, on Valentine's Day, if you don't have your one, you can go buy them a card and put it on your altar like I did, and mine said, "Forever is not long enough with you," and I gave it to my husband on our wedding day. I filled it out. And he was very moved. And so if you don't have your Valentine, rather than going out with someone who you're like, go do something for the soulmate you haven't met yet. And understand once you're together, it'll make up for every bad Valentine's Day you ever had. That's the truth. You'll be too happy. But that's a soul call, and that's one of the magnets, I think a very powerful one. Many people later email me or call me and say, it was just like in the meditation. It was just like that. I couldn't believe it was like deja vu. And that's what happens. I think that when you open up in that way, you're guided to what is it can get good. Any comments about it or questions that came up? Everybody gets quiet because it's a little bit like a drum. Yes?
My name's Tamika.
Tanika?
Tamika.
Yeah. Tamika.
And when you were doing the part, it seemed like somehow it was accelerated and I was already on the hill. And then you said, okay, you're on a hill. It was very bizarre.
Wow. So you were there before I got there.
Yeah, and then I had envisioned the arms around me of the person. He was already there. I didn't see a face. It was just...
Yeah, you just felt the
feeling
energy.
Yeah, and then you were like, okay, tell him to come. And I was like, okay.
He's here. Well, you did very well. Boy, love must be quite close for you.
Well, I mean, it is. I don't know how close the soulmate is, but there's a lot of love around.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you. You had a question?
Any suggestions on how to continue? This soul call was really wonderful. Would you suggest that we begin our day or end our day? Just go to
You
sleep?
could. So many people ask me about that when I made a CD called Manifesting Love. Not only did I put a full-on soul call that's like about 20 minutes or so, but I did a little 5-minute version. And it's so funny because many people come to my workshop and they're like, I hear your voice every day at night before I go to sleep. And they report that they have really good dreams. And so I put it on my CD for that reason. And you could I have people record. Before I did that, I had them record themselves, telling themselves this. Anything that works for you that can get you in that vibration. It's fun, so why not if it gets you in a good place? So.
Go to sleep at night, repeating what we want answered.
Exactly. Our subconscious is very powerful.
Yeah,
and so yes.
While we sleep.
And then you wake up and you have the answer. So yeah, there you go. Anybody else questions or sharing about how that was? Yes.
I just felt like this huge magnet just coming out of me. Like
there you go. She's got it down. And that's how it is even if you're not aware.
I have to get bigger.
Yeah. There you go. Good job. And that's what it is. It really is like a magnet that happens. And it happens in the perfect timing, in the perfect way. And it's good. So good job. Any other questions or sharing about the experience? Okay, so the magnets that we've covered so far are, 1, starting to believe that this person really exists, even if you didn't think they could. This particular group of characteristics. Understand they fit well in your life. If you've been single too long and you think you're too set in your ways and nobody could ever be with you, this person can. They fit well. You fit well together, and it's easy. So start believing that. Start trusting. Another magnet we talked about is letting go of anything in the way, whether it's a person, it's cynicism, a belief that you're not lovable in some deep way. Because when you're single, it's easy for, and I've certainly experienced this, for whatever you're scared is unlovable to really come up. Any insecurity you have, and it's a good time to heal it. When they're kissing you all over, it's real hard to remember why you thought you were unlovable, but might as well start doing it now. It'll make it go quicker. So that, and then send out a soul call. So those I talked about, and we're going to end on kind of a fun note to wake you up. And so what I want to do right now, I want to take like just a 10-minute break. Am I right in what time is it? Because I've got, this is still on oh, okay. I'm on a 25 city book tour. This is about city 11. This is where I'm from though. And I've still got this on Midwest time. So I got to learn how to get it back to, but anyway, so we're going to just take a 10-minute break. I to stay and not leave, because the last part of this workshop is going to be extremely fun. You will walk away energized to go home. It'll be worth the wait. But in the meantime, everybody you can get water, go to the bathroom. If you want to get in my products, it's a good time, and I could maybe even sign a book for you and hug 3 people. And then we're going to come back and we're going to end on a very, very fun note. Okay? So we'll meet back here at 9:10. Okay? We'll meet here at 9:15. The first edition of my book is almost out. They're still reprinting it, so you could get a signed first edition today. So we don't have to be out or anything like that. So, okay. Any questions about what we've gone over so far? Everybody, any doubts coming? Anybody? It's easy to be doubtful. Good for you. I thought you were serious. The thing is, it's very easy to think that we are limited by what has come before. It's very easy to think that, whatever has come before is the best we could ever hope for. And as humans, of course, it's easier to imagine what we've had before than to imagine something we haven't had yet. Something that's kind of not formed in the future. And that's why I make people say the best is yet to come, because that's the truth. And I invite you to start. If I were the best psychic in the world, and I work with Mona, and I say, Mona, I have something to tell you. And every prediction I'd ever had for her was right, 100% accurate. And I told her, your soulmate is coming. He's not coming for 5 months, but you better live it up. These are your last single days. And she believed me because I had a really good track record. It was uncanny how many predictions I got right. She would have faith. You can have that now. You don't need a psychic telling you that. You can really know that now, and I know it for all of you, and I know it for Mona, okay? And what it can do is save you a lot of angst. Even if you don't get to that level of faith, your soulmate will still come, but it'll save you a lot of angst. You can really enjoy what I believe are going to be your last single days, and have a lot of fun, and one day look fondly upon your last single days. Does that make sense? So that's what that faith thing is. It's very deep. I don't believe in blind faith. I think that as we go along, the universe shows us that we're supported. And the more that we see that, our faith builds until it's hard to doubt anymore. For me, in my life, the things have worked so well that I cannot doubt anymore, because it's just really trippy what happens. It's very fun. And one of the things that unleashes the magnet is to first have faith, and the other thing is to let go of disbelief, let go of anybody. Every time you do that, there's this strange magic stuff will start happening. I could tell you stories you can't imagine about just how trippy it is. So last thing I would talk about just briefly, 2 large chapters in the book. The first largest one is about letting go of a person, because it is so difficult for so many people. It's a deep issue. I've had people suicidal when I directed the crisis team, and so it was the first CD that I met. And if you see the headlines where the guy who kidnapped his ex-wife and his children and took them, drove them, and nobody could find them for a few days, he really needs to let go. It's a prevalent problem, and so that's why I did that, and it unleashes magic. So that's the first big chapter in my book, the biggest, because it's such an issue at many levels. And then the other one, the big one, is about dating, because Everybody tells me they hate dating. Dating is atrocious. I agree, in this country it can be way awkward. Our way of dating is not as evolved as like in Europe, where they go out in groups and then they gradually hook up. You know, people kind of pair up as they see an attraction. There's a lot less pressure, but there are ways to date that are better. One of them is to just start, if you have the faith, then you're putting less pressure on any individual date. You drop your agenda of trying to, you know, plan the wedding on the first date, name the children on the second. Trying to see how long it'll take, how many dates it'll take to get her in bed. These are all agendas. You can drop the agenda. You can drop the pressure from any individual date because you know you're going to have love even if this isn't it. You can be yourself because they will not recognize you if you're trying to be somebody else. The model of what attracts different people is so dissimilar, so random, and no prediction whatsoever that you can't try to fit yourself into some random mold of desirability. Doesn't work. And so you can you and just be yourself. I've seen on like any connection that I've ever seen was on an individual connection with another person rather than who was the most charming, most attractive, most whatever in the room. It's just who was connecting. And so one thing you can do is really seek to connect with another being, not trying to make them fit, but just seeing who they are. And be willing to be honest. We talked about that on online dating. And it's important to even to the point of saying, I'm just not feeling chemistry with you, after you've given them a proper chance, because love at first sight rarely happens. So any questions about that? What we're going to do is we're going to practice connecting. So if everybody can stand up and put everything down, and this isn't about who you get paired with, but pick a partner. If you're heterosexual, if you can find somebody of the opposite sex, that's good. But just go ahead and get any partner, even if it is somebody the same sex and you're not gay, okay? So just find a partner, stand in front of each other, hug, or namaste, and exchange names. So everybody get a partner. Somebody you don't know is better. And if you don't have a partner, kind of meet over in the middle of the room. Okay, so does everybody have a partner now? No, it won't work with 3 people. Here's somebody, though. Okay. Does everybody have a partner? There are a couple people who walked in the back of the room. Maybe you could catch one of them. It has to be just 2 people at a time, though. Okay, so what I want you to do is a completely awkward for many people. Probably less so for people at the Conscious Life Expo. But I want you to look into your partner's eyes without saying a single word. Just look at each other, okay? I have a friend who can get anybody she wants across a crowded room just with a glance. If you've ever sat at a stoplight and looked over casually at the driver next to you, they feel you looking and they look back. Gazes we underestimate. And so I want you to look for the good that you see in that person. A bad thing to be looking for is how much pain they have in their eyes. That's not a good thing. So look for the good thing that you see, and you can tell more about the person than you would imagine. And when you're ready, I want you to share with each other, and I'm not going to ring a bell or anything, just what was the good that I saw in you. And make sure you both have a turn to share. So go ahead when you're ready and share what was the good I saw in your eyes. A few more, but you saw good in each other, so make sure you both share. Complete, hug each other and get a new partner. Hug each other, get a new partner, hug your new partner, and exchange names. If you don't have a partner, there's a couple of very wonderful women over here who are looking for ones. Over here in the corner. Max. There's a lady right here, Max, who needs somebody. Okay, so now what we're going to do with this partner is very different. There's a lady right here. Okay, this time what we're going to do, and if you're a guy, do this delicately. You men, it's been ruined for you by all the jerks in the world. Now all of us women have really good boundaries, and we're paranoid about somebody breaking them down. And so I know all of you here are conscious. But it's been ruined for you by all the jerks in the world, so you have to be very delicate and aware of women's boundaries, right? But I want you to very carefully put your hand on each other's chests up here, near the heart, around the heart, and feel each other's hearts. Close your eyes and just feel what you can feel that's good about this person. Now, obviously, if you're feeling some pain, you're not looking for the right thing. So just feel for the goodness in that heart. You can tell more than you realize. Close your eyes so you can really feel. You're not necessarily trying to feel the heartbeat, but just more the vibration of this person. And when you're ready, you can carefully drop your hand, open your eyes, and share with each other what was the good that I felt in your heart. Both have time to share, just a couple more moments. Okay, so as you wrap it up, hug each other and get one last partner for the evening. Hug each other, and we're going to get one last partner for the evening, okay? One last partner for the evening. So find somebody, hug each other, and exchange names. Everybody get hug each other, exchange names. Okay, now what we're going to do this last time, we're going to share with each other what it's like to kiss our soulmate. You probably experienced that in the meditation. It may sound completely silly, but who cares? What is it like to kiss my soulmate? So make sure you both have a chance. I'll ring a bell halfway through. Just quickly, it doesn't have to be long drawn out. Make sure you both get a chance to share. What is it like to kiss my soulmate? So go ahead and begin. Verbal, you don't have to kiss. When you're ready, just hug each other and go back to your seat. When you're complete, hug each other and go back to your seat. So, one thing that I've never ever been asked until now at a workshop, and I've been teaching these workshops for a long time, is that I'm supposed to kiss my partner and show them. That is a new one. How was that? Okay, good. Well, thank God you didn't just take her into like a, So I got to kiss my soulmate for a minute while we were doing that. And I had to acknowledge him because if anybody has my Manifesting Love CD, this song is It is sung by my own twin soul, who has a studio and is a musician and who records me when I do my CDs. And he is rarely, almost never, ever in my workshops because we have 4 kids and he's usually with the kids. But he's sitting in the back. So that's my husband, John Tompkins. Just to completely embarrass somebody who's very shy. But my kids look just like him. So anyway, so I want to thank you for being. And I want us to end by putting your hand on your heart, saying, I get love. It is coming to me even this very minute. And I'm going to have a good time until then. And so it is. Okay, so if you didn't get a chance for me to sign your book, I'll do it now. And hug 3 people before you leave. I have some events coming up tomorrow. Agape signing my book all day, and then next weekend I have another workshop, and also tomorrow night there's actually a Valentine mixer which I'm not running, but I will be there, and that's all that information is back there. So I'd love to see you again. The one at Agape next weekend, there will be literally over 100 people, so we're going to have more fun. I'd love to continue with you. So thank you. Mwah. Good night.